In 1776, the staccato bursts of musket fire reverberated through the air, marking the tumultuous onset of the Revolutionary War that engulfs the 13 American colonies. Yet amid the carnage that claims countless lives, shadowy forces operate behind the scenes. These elusive agents wage a clandestine war, unraveling the enemy's defenses from within, their actions steeped in secrecy and laden with intrigue. Welcome to Bizarre History. Today we examine 10 dirty spy techniques of the Revolutionary War. Double agents were one of the most dangerous and daring spy techniques used during the Revolutionary War. They were spies who pretended to work for one side while secretly working for the other. They could provide false information to mislead the enemy or reveal the enemy's secrets to their true allies. Some of the most notorious double agents were Benedict Arnold, James Armistead Lafayette, and John Honeyman. Benedict Arnold was a general in the Continental Army who became a traitor and joined the British side. He plotted to surrender the American fort at West Point to the British, but his plan was exposed by another spy, John Andre, who was captured and hanged. Arnold escaped to Britain, where he was rewarded with money and a military commission, but he was despised by both sides and died in obscurity. James Armistead Lafayette was an enslaved African American who volunteered to spy for the Americans. He posed as a runaway slave and infiltrated the British camp, where he gained the trust of General Charles Cornwallis and Benedict Arnold. He provided valuable information to the Americans, such as the British troop movements and plans. He also helped to deceive the British about the American strategy. During times of conflict, secret ciphers and codes have been essential tools to conceal sensitive communications. In particular, ciphers utilized letter substitution to disguise the true contents of a letter. The recipient would need a key, often referencing specific pages and letters in a common book, to decipher the hidden meaning. Some covert networks even created custom pocket guides to serve as their cipher key. Similarly, codes used numbers and special characters in place of letters to veil messages. A prime example was the Culper spy ring, organized by Major Benjamin Talmadge under orders from General George Washington during the Revolutionary War. To report on British activities in New York, Culper informants adopted pseudonyms and communicated in a numerical code book of 763 symbols representing words, names, and places. This Culper code book was vital in protecting the critical intelligence and identities of the agents. Invisible ink was an important form of secret writing used by both British and American forces during the Revolutionary War. Typically, the invisible ink was a mixture of ferrous sulfate and water, which was penned in between the lines of an otherwise innocuous letter. The concealed writing could then be revealed by heating the paper above a flame or treating it with a chemical reagent like sodium carbonate. A key contributor to the Americans' use of invisible ink was Dr. James J., brother of John J., who was a physician in England at the time. J. created a tannic acid solution to be used as invisible ink and provided quantities of this sympathetic stain to the colonists. General George Washington himself instructed his agents on using the ink, noting it would help protect sensitive communications. Washington suggested writing reports in the stain on unused pages of common publications, so the hidden contents would not be suspected if intercepted. The art of secret intelligence requires discretion and ingenuity. During the Revolutionary War, British spies employed creative methods to conceal sensitive information from prying patriot eyes. Messages were tucked inside hollowed quills and secreted within buttons. One common technique involved hiding rolled-up letters inside small silver balls with false bottoms. This covert communication proved disastrous for one agent, Daniel Taylor. While conveying clandestine correspondence between British generals Henry Clayton and John Burgoyne, Taylor was apprehended in New Windsor, New York. In a desperate gambit, he swallowed the incriminating silver ball. Though he initially evaded detection by forcing up the evidence, Taylor's luck soon expired. Under threat of excruciating torture and death, he relinquished the concealed message ball. For his failed subterfuge, Taylor was hanged on October 16, 1777, a victim of the hidden letter's double edge. Care and cunning are crucial when engaging in such perilous activities as secret intelligence work. The practice of masked letters presented a clever means of concealing the true contents of sensitive communications during the Revolutionary War. The sender would craft a letter containing a secret message written within the confines of a shaped template or mask. The letter and mask were delivered separately by couriers to avoid detection. General Henry Clinton employed this technique in a letter to General Burgoyne, expressing grave concerns over General Howe's decision to move the British forces to Chesapeake Bay. While the full letter outwardly conveyed approval of Howe's tactics, the true message hidden beneath a paper hourglass criticized the maneuver as ill-advised and lamented Clinton's inability to provide meaningful diversion with his limited forces. Despite receiving Clinton's covert warnings against proceeding without reinforcements, Burgoyne's determination to press on to Albany ultimately led to his defeat at Saratoga in 1777. This major victory represented a turning point that brought France openly into the war in support of the Continental Army. The practice of masked letters, though cumbersome, provided a critical means of transmitting sensitive information during the Revolutionary period. The encrypted messages helped conceal strategic worries and pivots, even as the written documents circulate among British leadership. Encrypted communications proved critical to concealed strategic maneuvers during the Revolutionary War, as demonstrated by several incidents surrounding intercepted letters. In 1781, General Washington was unable to safely correspond with Lafayette in Virginia, as British spy James Moody consistently intercepted Washington's mail. Without access to Washington's cipher code, any letters risked exposure of military secrets. British generals also crafted disinformation within letters intended to be intercepted by American forces. Generals Burgoyne, Clinton, and Howe all penned communications stuffed with false intelligence, aimed at deceiving their adversaries. The British hoped the Continental Army would obtain the letters and be misled by their phony content. The widespread lack of encryption capabilities and vulnerability of correspondences exemplified the vital need for secure communications. Had Washington been able to share his cipher with Lafayette, their exchanged letters may have better coordinated critical campaigns in Virginia. And while the British ploy of planting misinformation sought to confuse the Americans, it also revealed their own desperation in the war effort as conditions shifted to favor the colonial forces. The Americans operated black chambers in New York's Hudson Highlands and under General Philip Schuyler in upstate New York. These covert outposts allowed agents to duplicate seals, open and transcribe mail, and then reseal correspondence without detection. British spy James Moody used his knowledge of mountain passes to ambush Washington's couriers and seize their letters in New Jersey. The British also planted their own spies as postal couriers, like David Gray, who carried mail between New York and Vermont, stopping in the Highlands where Washington intercepted the letters. In one clever ruse, Washington allowed courier Moses Harris to unknowingly deliver transcribed British letters between Canada and Albany, thus ensuring the British still trusted him with future mail. Elias Nexon also covertly loosened the seal on a letter from the Staten Island British commander to Governor Tryon, learning of plans to attack Long Island. Such black chamber operations exemplified the cunning traits and stealth tactics required for clandestine intelligence work during the war. The sealing of correspondence also created vulnerabilities for espionage on both sides, as covert mail centers exploited tax seals to uncover strategic secrets in the fight for American independence. A dead drop was a hidden location where one spy would leave a message, document, or item for another spy to collect later. The location had to be inconspicuous and easy to access, such as a hollow tree, a rock, or a brick. The spies would use prearranged signals, such as a mark on a fence or a clothesline, to indicate that a dead drop was ready or completed. This way, they could avoid direct contact and reduce the risk of being caught by the enemy. Dead drops were especially useful for spies who worked in enemy territory or with double agents. For example, the Culper spy ring, George Washington's network of spies in New York, used dead drops to send and receive intelligence reports from the city. One of their members, Anna Strong, would hang laundry on her clothesline to signal the location of the dead drop to another member, Abraham Woodhull. Woodhull would then retrieve the message from a hollow tree or a box buried under a rock. Dead drops were not foolproof, however. Sometimes the messages or items could be lost, damaged, or intercepted by the enemy. Sometimes the spies could be followed, captured, or killed. But despite the dangers and difficulties, dead drops were an essential spy technique that helped the Americans win their independence from Britain. Signal flags were a common spy technique used during the Revolutionary War to communicate with each other from a distance. They could convey simple messages such as "all clear," "danger," or "meet me." Some spies also used lanterns, candles, or gunshots as signals. One of the most famous examples of signal flags was the Grand Union flag, also known as the Continental Colors or the Congress flag. This was the first national flag of the United States, adopted by the Continental Congress on January 1, 1776. It consisted of 13 red and white stripes and a British Union Jack in the upper left corner. The flag was flown by George Washington and his troops at several locations, including Boston, New York, and Philadelphia. The Grand Union flag was also used as a signal flag by Washington's spies. According to legend, Washington instructed his agents to fly the flag upside down if they had important information to report or if they needed assistance. This way, he could identify his spies and communicate with them without arousing suspicion. The upside-down flag was a sign of distress or danger, and it alerted Washington to send a messenger or a rescue team. Secret compartments were a clever spy technique used during the Revolutionary War to hide their messages, codes, or tools from the enemy. Spies used various objects, such as books, shoes, buttons, or coins, to create hidden spaces where they could conceal their secrets. Some spies even used their own bodies as secret compartments, such as Anna Strong, who hid messages in her laundry. One of the most ingenious examples of secret compartments was the silver bullet. This was a hollowed-out bullet that could be unscrewed and opened to reveal a small piece of paper inside. The paper could contain a coded message, a map, or a sketch. The bullet could be carried in a pocket, a pouch, or a musket. If the spy was captured or searched, the bullet would not arouse suspicion as it looked like normal ammunition. The spy could also swallow the bullet or fire it to destroy the message if necessary. If you want more of history's long-held secrets and darkest confessions, hit like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. From us at Bizarre History, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.